Hello, I'm Dr. Daria Brzezinski, and this is What Wize Women Want on Charlottesville's public access television Comcast Channel 13. Every week we bring you topics of conversations to discuss regarding women's issues and hopefully informing you about the choices you can make for yourself, your family, and your community. We have panels of women because, ladies, we are 52% of the population and we have 85% of the purchasing power. And what we're hoping you're going to do is to get informed in order to be able to use that purchasing power for good. If you'd like more information about our panelists or would like to find out about future programs or send us questions via the internet, you can reach us at www.whatwizewomenwant.com, and of course, Wize is spelled with a Z, www.whatwizewomenwant.com. And there you'll find all the information you need about our panelists who are on our program. Today, we're going to be talking about, last time we talked about our inner selves and our inner journey. Today, we're going to be talking about exterior parts of ourselves, our body image, how culture teaches about body image and about ourselves, how the media teaches about ourselves. And we have some very, very fascinating ladies today as our panelists. To my right is Annette Daly. Annette is a certified image consultant at Your Wardrobe Wizard. She's also a fashion consultant. To her right is Stacia Harris, and you might recognize Stacia from Channel 29. She's owner and creator-director of Allora Group Productions, and it's a video production company and a voiceover production company. To her right is Jennifer McCune, Executive Director of McCune Health and Wellness and independent consultant at Rodan and Fields. Okay, ladies. Some of the people that I work with are senior citizens in my therapy practice. And in that practice, I noticed over the years that people may lose their memory about many things, even what they've eaten for breakfast. But the one thing that concerns both men and women is how they look. Their hair, the clothes they have on, manicures, pedicures, those kinds of things. So we're going to be taking a look at those. You know, that's one of the things that has stirred me about this, as well as teenagers and, you know, how we create body image for them and women in general and the products that we have on the market. So let's go around and just talk about what each of you do individually in terms of helping either women or people in terms of body image. And Stacia, you're not a production person, but you can tell us a little bit about what it was like on television and doing body image. So Annette, would you like to start?
Sure. So what I have found in working with women and helping them to dress in a way that is authentic to them and expresses their personality has been so eye-opening at times, because these women will look amazing and gorgeous, but have a body image that doesn't reflect what is the actual reality. And it is very challenging to cross those hurdles at times, because we've grown up young girls, 8 and 9 years old, worried about how they look, and they're hearing that from their parents. And it's hard to lose that bad body image. So I have a great time helping women feel good about themselves based on putting clothes on them that make them feel good. Mm-hmm. And so that's been an exciting experience.
Jennifer, what is it that you do?
Well, one of the things I do is I'm a consultant for Rodan and Fields, which is about skincare health, which is a lot of fun. Not only is it about vanity, which is wonderful. We all love to, or hopefully should appreciate feeling good about our appearance, as Annette was saying as well. And taking care of our largest organ is not just a vanity issue, but is also taking care of what is protecting all that's inside. And for McCune Health and Wellness, I love to talk to people about career-life balance, just being healthy in general on our whole existence. So both of those issues, I think definitely women really appreciate how we can all come together and help each other have that healthier, positive attitude about ourselves.
Now, Stacia, you've been in the media. Your production company doesn't necessarily is a selling product about women, but you do. Mm-hmm. I mean, you do have to project that in terms of television. So give us an idea of, television and the media and body image.
Well, I don't really do on-camera stuff now, but back when I was a reporter and an anchor, you're very aware of what you look like, what clothes look like on you if you're, live for 5 days a week for several hours over the course of a day. So I think when I was younger, I was probably a little more self-conscious. But as I got older, I realized that being on air, I have a platform to be real. So I did things like I wore my hair curly. I don't have curly now, but I would wear it curly because it's like for all the curly girls. Like I don't always have to have this straight hair to be considered attractive or whatever. So little things like that, I became just aware that how I present myself makes an impact on how other people and women feel about themselves.
Well, I think body image is not something that's modern, because I look at Egyptian hieroglyphics and if you've ever been to Egypt, you see how meticulous they were about mixing makeups and, women wearing makeup and jewelry and, hair and things, although, the upper class shave their hair so they wouldn't have lice. But this idea of body image is not a modern issue. But what do you think it is what is it about us as human beings that, we're so entrenched? We have this image of Adam and Eve, naked in the woods, and all of a sudden now we have, clothes may have been functional, to keep us warm, and all of a sudden now it's developed into something way beyond functional. So why do you think it is that, we have these things about, body and the way we look in terms of our clothes, let's say, or our hair and those kinds of things?
Well, I think social media definitely, obviously, is taken a huge part of that. Just speaking about skincare in general, we had this whole thing about wanting to not be tan throughout centuries because it was seen as somebody who had to work outside and it was reflective of a class status. And then Coco Chanel comes on the scene and she gets her picture taken on a yacht being sunburned, and everybody wants to be sunburned. And so that was the beginning of the paparazzi basically spreading that about our body image and showing, okay, if Coco Chanel is doing it, that looks great and fun. And then henceforth, going further as far as people's body size and what celebs, their size is and what's healthy and what's not healthy. And I think it takes a lot of self-confidence for people to look in the mirror and say, I don't have to look like that person and I still look good. And that's more what it's about, is the self-confidence to say we can all look different and we can all look really good and feel proud and healthy about who we are.
There's a fine line between looking polished and looking put together and then being obsessed with making your appearance tell a completely different story other than who you are. Style and fashion should be an expression, it should be art, but we all know, it's not. It's about status.
Talk about that a little bit more. That's a great distinction.
I don't know.
How do we distinguish between the two? That's really interesting.
I think it's a personal decision, and it depends on, I guess, how much you're willing to go out on a limb and not look like everyone else and not conform and not go out of your way and do bad things to yourself too, so that you can conform to what's considered attractive. But going back to social media, I think in the past, what was considered attractive for men and women was very much based on the community that you lived in. And now that we live in a world where there just aren't those boundaries anymore, with the internet and with social media websites and things like that, it's people in America can influence what people in Europe considered beautiful, and vice versa.
I was thinking about what you said about conformity, and the thought I had in my mind was conformity these days has to do with whatever social group you belong to. Like if you belong to the social group that loves full body tattoos, or that loves a certain clothing line, or so really you were right about the distinguishing lines between all of us. It really depends on your community or the people with whom you link up with, or the area even, or the country you live in. So did you have anything to say about that?
I was just going to say that I think we began becoming so obsessed with how we looked by this obsession with celebrities. And when television, we're all watching television and all of the reality TV shows that are on now that are so popular, I just think we're just so obsessed with how celebrities are dressing and looking that it has a lot of influence on us.
Well, one of the things, I know this is a little bit of an instigation here, but one of the things that's always floored me is that many white women or white people want to go out and get a really dark tan, and yet when I was growing up in the 60s and 50s and 60s, to be dark skin naturally was not a good thing. And it was such a paradox in my mind that, and I was one of those people who had a really dark tan all the time because of my native heritage. And it just used to flabbergast me that, here I am with a dark tan, and yet, somebody who is naturally dark is ostracized, or am I the only one who thinks that's ironic in our culture?
Well, I think, and it's also vice versa in other parts of the country. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. She's Indian, but she grew up in Africa. And for some Indian women especially, they spend a significant amount of the little money that they have on skin bleaching, which is, it shows the influence that European culture has in other parts of the world. And it's certainly not limited to Indian culture.
No, it's
and again,
Japan too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in Asian cultures, it's huge to be as light as possible, whereas here in America, there's a little more wiggle room. I think having a tan is attractive, but I also think having fair skin in white women is also considered attractive. So I think it can definitely go both ways for Americans, but for the rest of the world, there's a very distinct line for like what's attractive and what's not attractive.
And ultimately, as far as, I just have to put this out there.
No, go ahead.
As far as skincare health is concerned, it's not about the paleness of anybody's skin. It's about people having a bright complexion and demonstrating a healthy appearance. And you can have a bright complexion whether no matter the tone of your skin. And so it would be nice if people would be able to recognize it's not about the paleness, but it's about the vibrancy of your overall skin health.
And one of the things that, another thing that and this is from the African American culture, but I also have many girlfriends who have kinky curly hair who are white women and who are constantly straightening out their hair. And I, who have had poker straight hair my entire life, have attempted constantly to have perms to color, it seems like, or, having short legs and constantly wanting to wear the higher heels so that your legs look longer. It seems like we're not happy with who we are, that all of this attempt is to create something other than what we are and not being happy with what we are.
I think it's about, that's specifically, I think it's commercialism. I think it's, companies have products they have to sell, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's clothes, whether it's a hair product, skincare, whatever. You have to create a dissatisfaction for people to give the companies money. And so I think there's just so many companies that have a lot of money that they want to make. And so, they pick on the straight haired girls and they pick on the curly haired girls, and kind of everyone gets their chance to feel somehow inadequate because there's a product there to fix what's wrong with you.
But it seems to be ironic, though. Here we are, those with straight hair going out to get perm to curl their hair. And, my friends with curly hair have constantly wanted us to
The grass is always greener on the other side.
So it seems, so it seems.
But that's one of those things that I think as a society that we can do. Yes, absolutely, there are some products that are wonderful to have, but absolutely we as a society can tell ourselves, you know what, I look nothing like Stacia or Annette or you, Daria, and that's okay. We're all great. And that's something I work very much with my daughter. Stand up straight. Be proud of yourself. Be happy. I mean, she's only 6, but be happy and be confident.
And I think, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say that's a fantastic point. I don't have kids, but I would imagine if I had, especially a young girl, if they hear from their mom, if they hear from their family, you are fabulous just the way you are, whether you're tall, whether you're short, whether your hair is, straight, whether it's curly. I think what you hear at home makes a huge impact on who you are psychologically. Mm-hmm. And when you grow up in a household with, say, a mom who's a chronic dieter, who is constantly criticizing herself, you learn from a very young age, to be dissatisfied and to feel unhappy with who you are.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. How does this affect boys and girls when, even though mom or dad is constantly praising you for your appearance or how you look or who you are, there's that constant media paradox in the world of you're not beautiful, you're not the best, you need to be perfect. And one of those things, perfection is something that, as a therapist, I see all the time, people wanting to be perfect. And I'm going, what does that look like? Right. There is no perfect. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, Jen?
Well, I was going to say, and there is that happy medium. It's not about telling your kids you're perfect because you're setting them up for failure. It's saying be proud of what you have to offer this world. Because yes, you're different and you're unique, and that's wonderful. And no, none of them are perfect, and we tell them that. It's just going to be even more brutal when they go out into the world because somebody else is going to tell them that. That's the reality. Back when we were talking about body image, I know one of the challenges I have in this society is that we talk so much about losing weight. Everything is about losing weight. And I think that is very detrimental in society about body image as well, because there are plenty of people, frankly, who do not need to lose weight.
Right.
It should be healthy.
Right.
It's not about losing weight. It's about being healthy, whatever that looks like for you. And I think that is a huge challenge, and we're seeing it not only in girls but in boys as well, and it affects your whole entire life. So I wish society in general would really, I know obesity is a huge challenge, but I think healthy living is the challenge.
Yes.
I was just thinking about even thin people, beautiful thin people on the cover of magazines are airbrushed to look even more thin and
wrinkle-free and hair perfect.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, I was shocked in my life. I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of movie stars and people who have been on the cover of magazines and things. I was shocked to see them in daily life.
They don't look the same.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, like this pear-shaped movie star who I won't mention does not look pear-shaped, in movies. Mm-hmm. And I thought, my goodness, this is, and didn't have makeup on and didn't have her hair done. And, she was this normal person. Right. And I thought, oh my goodness gracious, the image that's projected of this person and who she really is in real life, everyday life is so different. And then I had a movie star friend who came to my house, and there was nothing on her that seemed real. Her fingernails were not real. Her chest was not real. Her buttocks was not real. Her face was obviously not real. Her hair, nothing about her was her own. And I thought to nothing moved. You can tell when someone is, and I thought to myself, wow, isn't this sad? That you have to go to this, and she's in movies and she's still on television today. And I thought to myself, isn't this sad that, you have to go to this extreme and like I have favorite television programs. And I noticed, like in Downton Abbey, okay, there's a person who I watched from the very beginning who is now on. She obviously had her face done. Because I go back to the first program and see her now, and I thought to myself, she was so beautiful. Why did she do that? So, what is this pressure? Okay, I can understand it for movie stars, especially women who have to be, And by the way, why do we have this double, paradox with women having to be thin and young and men can be overweight? What is that about?
I think men sort of have the luxury of being able to see themselves as whole people, whereas women pick themselves apart. Like, for example, you think of movie stars who are rich, they're famous, male movie stars who are rich, they're famous. Guys aren't necessarily like attractive. I mean, they're not. No. But they're funny, they're personable. They have all these skills that they're capitalizing on and that they're using to build their career. Whereas, on the flip side, I don't think female movie stars and models have that much freedom. Like, it's very much what you look like on the outside, first and foremost.
So do you think that comes from women, this double standard, or does it come from men, or where does it come from?
I mean, I'm going to look back to the caveman days. And I mean, honestly, what you're looking for in a mate, men are looking for women who can procreate.
Right.
So if we have certain things and certain things that are appealing, it's demonstrating that we're more fertile. And as we get older and have those appearances, we're losing those fertility years. I mean, just basically, and men who are older and more seasoned are not going to be sowing their oats, and they'll stick around with us and help us raise our babies. I mean, at a very base level, that's but we've gotten beyond the caveman days, so presumably we could evolve. But right. I think at the basis sense, that's what I envision. That's why.
And yet, in nature, many men are the one. The peacock is the one. The right. male is the one, and they're the ones where the beauty is, and not right. in nature. Not
well,
necessarily.
But that's because it's okay if they get killed, right? We got to have the moms around so the guys can get killed.
I think women are just really critical of other women.
You think so?
Yeah. I was at a meeting and we were watching a training seminar, and the women that I were with, I couldn't believe how they were picking out things that didn't look good about this woman on TV, and I finally just had to look at them and say, time out, these are our sisters. What are you doing, and what does it say about yourself? And even they would catch themselves and say, oh gosh, we're acting like the mean girls that are right. the bullies. And I was like, yeah, you are. You don't talk like that about our sisters. So I was very frustrated, but made it really clear that, it's not appropriate.
Okay, so men don't do that towards each other.
I don't think so.
So why do we? Why do we continue with this path? We don't like it. And we know people are talking behind our back and things like that. We know that as women. Why do we continue with the charade, And I noticed that I'm from the North, and so people are much more blunt and direct, as right. Jennifer knows. I'm much more blunt and direct than most people. But in the South, it's really subtle, and it's much
passive
different.
Aggressive.
Thank you.
Daria wasn't going to say it.
No, I wasn't going to say that. Yes. Annette can say that because she's from the South.
That's right.
But so why is it that, do you think that women, we haven't caught on after all this time? Why haven't we caught on yet?
Well, I don't think that's quite fair. I think, unfortunately, when you see in the media and you see certain things, you hear a lot of the negativity. I think there are a lot of women who are starting to say, yes, I know you, me, all of us at this table, that we are saying, hey, you know what? We all have our differences and we all have a lot to bring to the table. And you doing programs like this and other people joining together and saying, how can we help one another out? I think that's great. Unfortunately, sometimes the loudest voices, the squeakiest wheels, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the majority. That just means that's what we're hearing the loudest. So hopefully more of us will start supporting all of our unique choices and appearances, and just that we all kind of want a better life for all of us at the end of the day.
So what you said earlier, I think you said earlier, was about health rather than necessarily appearance. So I was thinking of, the kinds of images we get in certain characteristics of people who are from, let's say, particular parts of the country, let's say West Virginia, okay, where people may not have their front teeth, or, don't wash their hair, or, things of that nature. So we have this image of what we think good looks like, good, that kind of person looks like. So in your estimation, what does it mean to look good? What is that, how does that look? If it's somebody who may be, I was with a banker the other day and I was floored. I mean, this is an extremely powerful woman. And she started talking to me about being overweight. And I said, what are you talking about? You are not, she said, I'm fat. I said, you are not fat at all. And she goes, yes, I am. I'm really fat. The woman was not fat. She had a few pounds, but she was not fat. So what is it, do we need to have an ideal? Or if we're going to be healthy, how does that look? In terms of, do we have to have makeup on? We have to have, designer clothes?
I think it's balance. I think it's balance. It's not feeling like you have to be a certain weight, just that you have to feel good at the weight that you're at, for example. It's not necessarily wanting to have the most expensive clothes and the best manicure and all that stuff. It's about feeling comfortable in whatever clothes you choose to wear. Because our image matters. As I was trying to figure out what to wear, I wasn't going to roll up here in a sweatshirt, and jeans, So I attempted, but I didn't go crazy, and to try to look a certain way. But so people want to be look put together. But it's about finding balance. And if you have just raging body dysmorphia and think you're huge when obviously you're not, maybe we need some counseling around here. Maybe we all could use a little counseling. Because we certainly, I'm sure everyone, looks in the mirror and sees things that aren't there. So.
And I think the ideal, is somebody who's self-confident and wears a smile. And normally, if they're not healthy, whether it be that they have eating disorder issues or they're heavy or they're mentally going through a rough patch or physically, that's pretty visible. So I don't think it's anything else besides wearing that smile and having that confidence. And I know on days that I feel like just wearing sweats and staying in my jammies, it's just I have a certain different appearance about me than on days when I'm ready to go out and really be part of the world in a positive way. So I think it's more about how you carry yourself.
Yes.
It really reflects.
Yes.
I would say what looks good to me is people who are well groomed. What looks good to me is when people wear clothes that fit them, no matter what their size are, as long as it fits well what they're wearing. And it is a documented fact that women who wear makeup do make more money. So it depends on what is your goal for that day and what is it that you want to achieve. But being well groomed, wearing clothes that fit, and wearing makeup, it does make a difference if you're going for, say, a promotion or something like that at work.
We'll get back to that in a second. You are listening to What Wize Women Want. I'm Dr. Daria Brzezinski, and we're talking today about body image and how this relates to the media creates this image, and what is it about our bodies and body image that we need to look at, what's healthy and not healthy. And today on our panel, I'm Dr. Daria Brzezinski, and our panel today, to my right, is Annette Daly, who's a fashion consultant and a certified image consultant with Your Wardrobe Wizard. We also have to her right, Stacia Harris, who's owner and creative director of Allora Group Productions, a video production and voiceover company, and Jennifer McCune, who's executive director of McCune Health and Wellness, and she's an independent consultant with Rodan and Fields. So getting back to that, which you hit on a couple of different things that I find interesting. First of all, the minute you said that, looking well groomed, I thought of all the people who have baggy clothes, the pants hanging down and, the big shirts and things like that. And, in some parts of our culture, that's acceptable. And so I think about Google and working at Google and Amazon and these places that are, and Facebook, where everybody wears jeans and rides skateboards and, plays all day and, has balloon parties and things like that. So it seems to me that and I frankly like to dress up. It makes me feel good to, maybe wear a suit or a dressy dress or jewelry. And so this notion of wearing jeans every day to work and, sneakers and, white socks or whatever, I don't know how, are we getting away from feeling that, having that look of that manicured kind of look? Are we getting away from that?
Well, I think our world is, especially our business world, is getting more casual. If you watch certain period shows on TV, it's like Downton Abbey. When people went out, shopping, they went out shopping, and they looked good. And I think of myself sometimes when I go out shopping and I'm like, bloop, wind pants, and a zippered hoodie, and I'm good to go. And of course, I've died a million deaths 100 years ago. I'd never leave the house looking like that. But I think we're getting more casual. But I think that's just a trend, whether it's good or bad. I think it is. But whether you're wearing jeans, there's a difference between wearing baggy jeans that are ripped and don't fit and wearing well-fitting jeans that look good and fit your body type. So there's room even within casual dress to look appropriate.
I have to tell you, when I go to my bank on Casual Friday and I see everybody dressed the way they are, it bothers me. I don't know why, but it bothers me. I don't know what that is.
Because you don't trust someone who looks,
maybe,
if they're handling your money.
Maybe.
They don't look like they should be handling your money. That is nerve-wracking.
And maybe it's just my generation because I haven't grown up with everybody wearing jeans and, I don't know. But, it just makes me feel uncomfortable.
But just think about church. Remember how we would always wear our Sunday best
hats
to church?
Yeah.
Yes, the hats and now, really,
come as you are.
It's right. That's literally what it is. Come as you are. And I wrote an article about it recently, and I was just scanning the room, and it was one couple who really had on the suit, and they were an older generation too.
So does that mean we're getting sloppier, and that means that people, don't care about is this a good thing that people don't care about their appearance?
See, I don't think it means that people don't care about their appearance, because with my children, they're not wearing, khakis and collared shirts to school, but we definitely talk about the importance of carrying yourself well, about not having your hair completely sticking up, about not having things on your face, about taking care of personal kid hygiene. So I think you can still care about yourself and carry yourself well and be proud of whom you are. And yes, make sure the clothes fit well and they don't have holes and that sort of thing. I do think generationally things are changing, and part of that is because professional and personal lines are completely blurred. People work and have their personal lives at the same time.
Yes.
And so I think that's been a huge change for all of that. And even when you see people in Google and whatever, the people who are moving on up at least have to present themselves with some sort of authority and some sort of conviction and carrying yourself well, no matter what you're wearing. So again, it goes back to who you are.
Well, all those guys who own, those social networking companies all show up in sneakers and jeans and
it's not about sneakers and jeans, though, really.
Okay.
I think, honestly, if you had dirt on your face and things in your nose and in your hair, that's not being groomed well. It doesn't matter whether you're wearing a Gucci suit or a pair of jeans. It's not appropriate.
Okay, so where is this taking us, this casual, this casualness about, is this a good direction now that we're not so confined?
It's less classist. I mean, if you look at anybody can transcend the ranks. You don't have to own a Gucci suit to be the CEO of a company. You can be an entrepreneur and wear jeans and t-shirt and grow your business and go to meet somebody and not have to have the funding To wear nice suits every day is not an inexpensive undertaking.
Right.
So it definitely can even the playing field for people.
And it's interesting that a lot of the wealthy people that I have met, you would not ordinarily guess that they were, because they are in jeans and, polo shirt. Whereas some of us may be trying to make it look like that we're wealthier than we are, so we dress up in these clothes that we can't afford and drive these vehicles that, it's all about class and show.
Well, there's a lot of that in Charlottesville, let's face it. And, I have to admit that I've had coaches who said to me, dress the way you want to be, or the way you want to feel, present something even though you may not be there yet. Present that to the public, and move into that image of yourself.
Right.
One of the things I find extremely fascinating in Charlottesville, where we live, is that we have, I can't tell you how many consignment shops and secondhand stores for clothes. We have so many that they have now become defined by a certain category. I mean, we now have categories of secondhand clothes shops. It's absolutely, one of them won't take anything less than 3 years old. Another one takes Ann Taylor tablets or whatever. Another one takes vintage clothes. I'm going, this is unbelievable. We have consignment shops that are specialty shops now. And I think it just is maybe it's a reflection of our economy, I'm not sure, or is it a reflection of, a new kind of lifestyle?
I think if you live in a place where you have a lot of people who, have, nice clothes, it's easy to start a consignment shop that's just for nicer clothes. I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, and I've never heard of anything quite that specific, but it's still fun. I mean, it's a niche.
I think some part of it could be that we're moving towards more recycling and, green, and so that may be a part of that too, is that we're trying to reuse.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in terms of, do you feel, really, to be honest, if we're honest with ourselves, I mean, I've watched one particular television program in a morning show, and they have fashion on all the time. And then, there are other talk shows that have fashion all the time. And we're telling people what kinds of things to buy all the time and to change. And, youth buys into all that stuff, and they want all those things, and they constantly want, the hemlines are up, the hemlines are down, the boots are high, the boots are low, the heels are 2 inches, the heels are 3 inches, they're flat. What can we do to help young people, who are constantly worried about peers, especially at the peer age of teenage years? What can we do to help especially teenage girls with, worrying about the kinds of images that they create? How can we help young women?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, is instilling that self-confidence and celebrating our uniqueness, and celebrating the fact that we all look different, and that's great. We're all beautiful, amazing people in our own ways, and be proud of that, and starting that not when they're teenagers, but starting that when they're young, so by the time that they get at that teenager point, they feel good. I mean, no matter what, when you're a teenager, you're going to be going through some emotional baggage, shall we say, but if you have that strong foundation of having that self-confidence and that being unique and different is okay, I think that goes a long way.
And I think, again, I'm not a parent, but I think parents, especially nowadays, have to realize how much information and how much time their kids spend, on the internet, on social media, and you kind of realize who is dictating what they should be doing and what they should look like. And as a parent, you have to really limit that time and increase how much time you spend influencing your child, hopefully in a positive way, because the messages out there are powerful.
Exactly.
I can't imagine growing up in this world. I mean, I'm in my 30s, and I can't even. I mean, just watching social media and things like that. Like, I myself have plenty of moments where I feel really bad about myself. I can't imagine being 13 and living in this world.
And overwhelm is, with all the information that is the teenagers are bombarded with the media, with billboards, with everything. I mean, it must be really overwhelming to try and disseminate. And, they don't have the capacity because of their age, their brain is not developed, right. Their social skills are not developed. And so they're bombarded with all this information. I mean, I was thinking when you were talking, Jennifer, of, because I'm in the business that I'm in as a therapist, there's a lot of women who are mothers who don't have a self-confident image of their own.
So it's hard to, absolutely, it's hard to teach that. It's hard to send that down. And teachers end up being a very strong part of their world and, friends. But you're right, not everybody has that luxury.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I had a mother like that. She had horrible self-image, and, she attempted to project that outward, and it can be generational, so at some point we have to get to the place where we nip that, and have to look at it in ourselves and the kinds of communication we're giving to our children at home so that they don't get confused, when they're bombarded by all the social media and things of that nature. So television is really influential.
I don't think it's television as much anymore, though.
You don't?
No, I mean, my kids don't watch TV. It's the video games, it's the YouTube, it's the internet. It's the internet. I mean, TV is, so, yeah, you watch things on TV.
We should say programming.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly, but it really is, I mean, and in social media, YouTube or those YouTube clips, I mean, all of that, I would say all of that is definitely highly influential. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Go ahead.
Well, and I do think it is very influential, and I think it goes back to what Stacia was saying, is that parental involvement and how it can be influential. I mean, we'll find YouTube videos that we'll watch with the children. It's not that they go off to their rooms themselves or go off with their friends and then maybe watch developmentally inappropriate. And that's one of the challenges too, that everything is so easily accessible that if it's developmentally inappropriate, that children are seeing things at too young of an age. And basically what I say to my kids when they'll say, so-and-so can watch whatever, I'm like, honey, once you see certain things, you can't go back and be that age again. So enjoy where you're at now.
Well, I was thinking of, growing up with a Barbie doll. And looking at, her long legs and, her bust and, the clothes and the blonde hair and, blue eyes. And I didn't have any of those things.
But did it matter to you? I never really cared. It wasn't like, oh, I want my legs to look like Barbie.
It bothered me.
It did bother you.
The long legs bothered me.
And maybe that's but maybe again, like the challenges you had with your mother. Because I never looked at Barbie.
Right.
I mean, maybe I did, but it wasn't
It's subliminal, though. It's subliminal.
I think Barbie, it's part of the larger fabric telling, especially, if you're going back to young girls, telling young girls what is attractive, what's supposed to be attractive. And as a biracial girl growing up in South Carolina, and
that must have been interesting.
I mean, how many Barbies look like me?
Exactly.
None.
Exactly.
So was that striking with you with Barbie? Did you?
I mean, it wasn't just Barbie. I mean, it was everything. It was the TV shows that I watched, the cartoons that I watched.
Books, everything.
It was everything.
Nothing was nothing.
No one looked like me.
Yeah.
Now, was I a crumbling hot mess when I was a kid? Not really, because I had really strong parents who reminded me that, you are who you are for the work that you do, not the way you look. So,
but you did notice it.
Yes. I mean, and especially going into high school and again, it was South Carolina, so you kind of dealt with people who were always asking you, what are you, like what, So I had people reminding me that I looked very different. But I took it all in stride. It really, and my sister and I both just weren't bothered by it. But now that I'm an adult and kind of looking at advertising, it is nice now to see companies hiring actresses that look more like me. And things like that. So I noticed stuff like that. And so I think things are definitely changing, but
I'm still upset with Oprah for not having kinky hair every day, and to give that that it's okay to have that image instead of the straight hair.
But she goes on TV with no makeup on. I mean, she shows herself with a robe.
No, but I mean, all the time as
a
a constant image. It's always this African American woman with. And I had African American friends, and I used to think, gosh, there's no dolls here that are here for them. There's nothing here for them. Absolutely. I mean, now it's different. Very much different. But, in growing up, who do you identify with if you don't have, what do you identify with? You identify with a white person and you end up bleaching your skin and, those kinds of things. So, and I look at the dolls now, like the American Girl doll. Sorry, we're saying all these different products on here, but I look at that doll that's much more realistic to a little girl shape, to a little girl's, accessories and things like that. And frankly speaking, I would much prefer the doll with, just the button eyes and the nose, and let the children have their own imagination, in terms of where. But then we have boys as well. We have the military and the video games, the macho image and the, I look at all these men on television and other places, and actually walking around the streets, and I'm thinking, is really having a six-pack healthy? I really, is it, I mean, is this extreme kind of exercise healthy?
Right, and I think definitely in this conversation we definitely forgot to add that guys are under similar pressure. I mean, not as, I don't think it's quite as much, but guys are under the same pressure. And I think oddly enough now, with women, it's not so much about being creepily skinny; it's about being creepily fit, like CrossFit fit.
Yes.
So I feel like we're putting ourselves up.
Movement.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a completely different standard that's almost harder to achieve than being rail thin, because really, who has time to spend 3 hours every day at the gym?
Exactly.
So I guess there's always some standards that both men and women are. Pressured
well, nothing
fitting.
freaks me out more than watching these women, these movie stars who are pregnant, have a baby, and come out looking flat stomach, and I'm going, really? Okay. No, but actually, you're right about the male issue as well. We now have all of this nonsense about steroids and things like that to be the best athlete you can be, or the top of your game and all. So. Are we really an obsessed culture? Is that what we are? There seems to be, there's all this extreme in one way or the other, rather than having balance in our life. And does anybody really know what that looks like? No matter what it is, in our appearance, in our lifestyle, in all these things, are we not balanced? We don't look at balance as a health issue.
And then I think you find the people that do, and that's who you surround yourself with. Because there are people, I think,
yes,
who are
I know
very
you are,
healthy.
Jennifer.
No,
you do. You balance your family, your business. You do have, and your relationship with your husband. I know that about you.
And I think there are people who are, maybe we're all not doing it perfectly. But if we're striving to,
there we go.
And
Perfect.
we don't want to, exactly. I mean,
Exactly.
it's not healthy for our children to think we're perfect. Those are unrealistic expectations for them. But surrounding ourselves with people who are looking for that in life, and I think that ultimately is what's going to bring us that health and happiness.
And there has to be more, I think, self-awareness, and everyone's journey is individual. And you, as a person, male or female, you just have to commit to, I'm not going to be crazy about, and I'm not going to spend money I don't have on a wardrobe that I can't afford. I'm not going to starve myself. I'm going to seek balance, and I think that's the journey. It's just you might not achieve it, but there you should try for it.
Well, I have a current client who just decided to date, who's an older person, and because his girlfriend is running the marathon, he's decided he's going to run the marathon, and the man is very unhealthy. And, you know, I keep holding my breath thinking, I hope you're going to be, and I say, you really need to go to a physician before you entertain
Let's start with
this
a mile.
Yeah,
Let's start
exactly.
walking a mile.
Exactly. And so, you know, I see this extreme, people being influenced constantly to be some sort of extreme because somebody else is doing it. And so, you know, I have to ask that question all the time. Where's the balance in your life? You know, how do you do that? And I think it's different for everybody. And that, I was just talking today to somebody about business, and I said, we talk about how businesses fail for the first of the 5 years, but nobody really talks about why. And the why is people not having soft skills. You can teach marketing and you know, all the other accounting and all the other kinds of things. But when it comes to the soft skills, like your beliefs about money, your self-image issues, your coping skills, those are the things that trip people up.
Right.
And this has to do with, you know, how we feel about ourselves as well. This is what trips us up all the time. Worrying about, we did the inner world last time, and it seems to me that the projection of the outer world is when we don't feel that self-confidence, that we listen to what everybody else says, you know, in terms of looking at ourselves instead of really looking at ourselves. And you women seem to be really knowledgeable and self-confident, and so, I mean, you both said it's from your, you know, how you were raised, both of you. Annette, was that true for you as well?
Yeah, I did grow up watching my mom put on makeup. I loved sitting on the bed watching her put on makeup and getting dressed up and wearing wigs, and I just loved all of that. And but she was just a very strong woman, regardless of whether she was wearing the makeup and the nice clothes. I am very balanced. I love dressing up, wearing makeup, doing my hair. And if I know I'm not going to be looking very well, I won't go to the grocery store. I'll send hubby there because I'm going to see 10 people in every row. But
Small town.
But on the other hand, I love camping and wearing no makeup and jeans and feel just as pretty and great in that situation. So it just depends on where I'm at and what is the message that I'm trying to communicate.
Right.
There you go. There you go. So you dress differently when you're going to soup kitchens or camping than you do when you go to a formal function or
Right.
a business meeting, something like that, which is really so. Can you tell me a woman that has influenced you in your life? Do you have any particular woman that has influenced in your life? Jennifer?
Ever since I've been a little girl, my mother has always told me I could have it all, and she didn't ever tell me what that meant. She just basically meant that don't you ever stop for anything. And I remember she tells me this story now. This is very telling of how she raised me. I was in Montessori, and she would go and talk to I was raised Catholic, so it was the true Montessori of the word, the free Montessori at the church and community church, and they would say, Jennifer does great, but she's too aggressive. She acts too much like a boy. And my mom said, well, great, then I'm doing a very good job. And she did not have the ability, she wasn't able to go to college at all, and I went and got my doctorate. And so that's always been very powerful for me. And she and my father are happily married. And another one of her messages is no matter what, don't ever be dependent on anybody else financially. And that's a very strong message. And I think that's for anybody, man, woman, we shouldn't be reliant on the government. We shouldn't be reliant on anybody. We need to be able to take care of ourselves and feel good that we have that capacity. So those were two very strong messages that I've always carried with me.
Stacia?
Growing up, I was very close to my mom and my grandmother. They're very sassy Italian women who could hold their own, and so I always respected that about them. And I think with my mom, and really both of my parents, they just expected me to just do the best that I could, at everything that I did. And they gave me plenty of opportunities to try. And was I great at everything? No, but they helped me. And especially as I was graduated college and was starting my career, they were very supportive of my career choices. And even to this day, they're behind me and they believe in me. So I think that's just a huge part of who I am and why I had the confidence to make some of the decisions that I did, to quit a job, quit my career, and become an entrepreneur. And I couldn't have done that if my parents hadn't, and my mom hadn't just expected me to be fabulous no matter what.
Yeah. Excellent. Annette?
As an adult, I would have to say the woman who has inspired and influenced me the most has been Hillary Clinton. I think
Interesting.
She is brave, bold, stands up for women and girls. She was able to bounce back from being mortifiably embarrassed by her husband. And I just admire somebody who could bounce back from something that was just so terrible and so in the public eye. And I just hope that she'll set an example for all of us and can be the woman president someday.
Well, that from a Southern woman, I'm shocked. No, I just thought I was about to make a supposition here, but that's not true at all. So, well, I really appreciate, your honesty and your sincerity in this conversation today. You all are, extraordinary women. And it's been really a pleasure to be able to have this program and meet all these incredible women in this town who are doing amazing things. And we don't, necessarily publicize ourselves or, let people know who we are or the kinds of things that we do. We kind of just go along with our whatever it is that we're doing day to day, and we're kind of action people. So we have been here today with Annette Daly, certified image consultant, Stacia Harris, owner and creative director of Allora Group, Jennifer McCune, executive director of McCune Health and Wellness. I'm Dr. Daria Brzezinski. You've been watching What Wize Women Want. You can see more of us at www.whatwizewomenwant.com if you'd like to learn more about our panelists, about future programs, or send us a question for a future program. Please let us know. www.whatwizewomenwant.com, and we look forward to seeing you next week on our program, and look on our website to find out what that will be. Thank you very much, and have a good day.